Do it. Welcome everybody. I'm Mike from Mike's Weather Page. We are streaming live from Oldsmar, Florida. Special. We do these special nighttime videos when there's stuff in the tropics to talk about. Obviously, we're all watching Ian very closely. We have a really special guest on here. We're going to talk first part of the little show, and then I'm going to go over all the models and stuff. So we're still going to do all that, but we got a special guest. From the Florida Division of Emergency Management. His name is Kevin Guthrie, and I'm going to drag him over here. He's on my Zoom call. Let's go ahead and kind of get him full screen here. And he looks good. Look at that. It looks better than me. So let's see. Real quick, guys, we're going to talk weather. If you're coming here for models and stuff, we're going to do that afterwards. But we got the man himself, Florida Division of Emergency Management here from the state of Florida, and he wanted to share some information to all you watching here in Florida. So very welcome to have you on my little show. And it was very, very humbling to have you all reach out, sir. So thank you.
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate the opportunity. You know, I was just telling Mike before we went live with everybody, I said, everybody's going to, Mike's weather page and getting information to include the Florida Division of Emergency Management. I told my comm staff, I said, hey, wouldn't it be kind of a cool idea if we could get with Mike and get on his webpage there and help him out, maybe boost some followers and whatnot. Same thing for us, obviously, right? Trying to get people to follow us on our Facebook and on Twitter at FLCERT, and that's FLSERT. I have a little bit more time to do that kind of stuff here to get that information out. So just really thought it would be a great idea. Mike is a really humble guy, but, a lot of your followers, Mike, may not even know that you're a recipient of the Governor's Hurricane Conference in the weather category, for making a significant impact in the state of Florida when it comes to weather. So, yep, you heard that here, 2022 winner in the meteorology category, Mike, for Mike's weather page. So glad to do this, glad to be a part of it. I know you guys want to talk probably about a little bit of preparedness when I think that's where we want to go with this tonight, right, Mike?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for that intro. It means a lot. The Governor's Hurricane Conference is an amazing event. Wow, I was blown away. I'd never seen so many people in the industry get together. It was a great time. We got Ian coming. Everybody's on pins and needles, and rightfully so, correct? What do you think this part of where we're at in the process, 4 days out, 3 days out, what do you think people should be doing? I guess that's one thing.
So right now, they need to prepare, and when I say prepare, I don't want to just put that in a box and story or cookie cutter prepare. One of the things that's going on right now with this storm is when this starts to become a Cat 4, which is going to start heading that way overnight. All the predictions are by the time we wake up in the morning, we're going to have a Cat 1 hurricane, if not by 5, certainly by 11. But what's going to happen there is, as that continues to increase in intensity up to that Category 4, that wind field is just going to get really, really huge. Tropical storm force winds extending inland, rain bands, and saturating rain for the state of Florida is going to impact everybody from the Keys up to Miami Beach, and then all the way around the state. So there's going to be significant flooding. There's some models out there indicating 10 to 15 inches of rain in isolated areas, 5 to 10 widespread across the state. So, again, it's not about just the winds and the storm surge, even though we're going to have that on the west coast of Florida. Even on the east coast of Florida, you need to be aware of tornadoes. You need to be aware of the flash flooding. You need to be aware of those issues that are going to happen with this storm. It's going to impact everybody. So we talk about preparedness, right? So FloridaDisaster.org/plan prepare is if you don't have a plan, you haven't prepared yet, you can go to that website. You can start getting some really good information about that. If you were specifically looking for something with families, then FloridaDisaster.org/family-plan to build a family plan. So it's time to prepare. It's time to plan. Be ready for it. But then when we asked for the evacuation, Mike, as you well know, we over-evacuated way too many people in Hurricane Irma, by 2-3 million people. Just because you're told a county is told to evacuate, that emergency manager is going to say, we're calling for an evacuation of Zone A, Zone B, Zone A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Those mean something. If you don't know what I'm talking about right now, you need to go to FloridaDisaster.org /KNOW. put in your go to the GIS page there, navigate down to your address, put in your address and all that, and you'll find out if you live in a zone. Now, unfortunately, we've had a lot of people call in, Mike, saying, "Hey, I don't see any zone that I'm in." Well, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. You don't have a zone, you don't necessarily need to evacuate. Then you need to ask your question about your home. Is it a manufactured home? Well, if it's a manufactured home, you're probably going to have to evacuate. If you live in a low-lying area, you're probably going to have to evacuate. What I mean by low-lying area is when it rains, it starts to flood at your home. This is going to be worse, right? So if you're a low-lying area, you're a manufactured home, you're in an older home that may not be able to sustain 90 mile an hour, 100, 110 mile an hour winds, then you'll need to evacuate as well. But again, we start with that know your zone, that evacuation zone. Again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Some people use some other codes, but if you don't have a color associated, which is typically red, orange, yellow, green, or purple, then you don't need to evacuate. You need to then ask the next question is, what type of house do I have? And then make a decision to evacuate after that. So only evacuate if you have to. If you don't evacuate and you end up sheltering in place, know that you may lose power. So make sure this is where that kit comes in, right? Mm-hmm. You got enough food, you got enough water, you got some LP gas for the grill so you can still cook. So while you can still have some of those things that you need while you're waiting on the power to be restored. So those are just a couple of things, Mike, that I want to talk about. If you got any questions, I'll be more than happy to take them. But I just really wanted the opportunity to give you a little payback since you pay it to us all the time and providing us really, really good data and information in a one-stop shop on your weather page.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's the number one question we get is they ask me, and of course, Shelly's my administrator. We get that question a bazillion times. Should I evacuate? Should I evacuate? So I think that's probably the number one question people have. Would you not agree? I mean, that seems very...
Yep. Yeah, I mean, right now, the biggest thing we're taking into our call center right now is, hey, I like your know your home, know your zone plan, but when I drill down there, I don't see a color. I don't see an evacuation zone. And again, we got to tell people, if you don't see a color associated, red, orange, yellow, green, or purple, then yeah, you're not in an evacuation zone. You don't need to leave for the storm surge.
Right. Okay, well, now let's talk about this Ian. Obviously, it's tracking a little east. The surge is what concerns me more than anything, looking at some of these surge maps. We're in a new moon cycle. Tampa Bay saw with Ada, we had 1,000 homes apparently flooded. I mean, that to me is a concern that's probably going to get elevated, I would think, if this thing keeps moving east.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If it keeps moving east, absolutely. And guys, I don't want to alarm anybody by what I'm about to say. I want you to listen to your local emergency manager, listen to them. If they call for evacuation, do that. But there are some really, really strong models saying that have some really catastrophic surge there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're seeing some numbers 8 feet, mm-hmm. 10 feet, in a couple of places around the west coast of Florida, 16 feet. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of water,
and that's projection. I mean, based on maybe the track now, even. I mean,
based on the track even now.
That's it.
And again, so a paralleling storm is always better than an impact, a direct hit. But again, we're getting some data sets coming in that are really, really high. Now, again, I think it's taken since these models are all over the place. We just got the latest. Models and the spaghetti models that are going to be released are just literally all over the place. They were in really good consensus data, and then all of a sudden, boom, they popped all over the place. So once we get a little more consensus, I think we'll see that storm surge start to, I don't want to say level out, right. I think that's probably not the right term, but we will probably see that start to normalize maybe. But I think it's really important, and Mike, I know you know this, but when that Cat 4 hurricane starts to work out there in the Gulf, it's creating a Cat 4 storm surge. Mm-hmm. And even though the forecast is for it to weaken before it actually hits land, that's Cat 4 storm surge has already been generated, and it's got to go somewhere.
Right.
So, this might be one of those situations, and again, I know you've done this a long time, Mike, where you've got that Cat 1, Cat 2 landfall, but you got a Cat 3, Cat 4 surge.
Right. Well, I watched the press conference today, and that stood out. I heard that, and kind of woke me up a little bit. like you just said, even I'm worried about the public hearing. Oh, it's only going to be a 1 or 2 at landfall. If this thing turns, if just put in that position of major hurricane, it's going to be a major hurricane at landfall. That's deceiving. They think, oh, it's only going to be a 1 if it hits Tampa. Well, if it turns, it's not going to be a 1. It's going to be potentially higher.
It's going to be a 3. Brian, I was on a show earlier today with Brian Norcross on Fox Weather, and he says it's going to be if it turns, it's going to be a 3-4 into that North Pinellas, maybe even into the Bay Area, and that's folks. Again, I know Mike lives there in Oldsmar, but that's a truly catastrophic type situation right there. And I think Mike, you probably know this better than I do, but I think 1912 or something like that was the last time a significant hurricane hit the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, it was 21, but being here that I live here, I actually had to do my homework on it. But yeah, I was talking to our city today, and I was like, wouldn't it be ironic? I mean, not 100 years later, 101 years later, the same bank is still standing. Yeah, it was underwater. So yeah, I guess every day that we get closer, right? The consistency in the models, like you said, that the certainty becomes greater. Obviously, we're still in that stage where everybody's a little panicky, panhandle. But by tomorrow, right, we should really start to see this thing tighten up, and people should know the real impacts that are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, and obviously, the people that don't know the science behind the models and all that, once we get that really good defined center and get that hurricane label on it, then even some of the H-WRF models will start to come back into alignment and whatnot. We should start getting a lot better consensus data on where this thing's going. Okay. So it's one of those things you never want a hurricane, but in this kind of situation where it's just all over the place, I think getting a good, well-defined center with an upper, middle, and low level center would just really actually help us start to navigate where it might go in the future. Yeah,
one last thing. I hear a lot about our grounds are saturated, river levels are high. Is there any inside talk about the worry about increased power outages because of the trees, and really where's all this water going to go?
Yeah, Mike, you hit the nail on the head. North Florida, North Central Florida, even portions of South Central Florida. If you look at the 30-day rainfalls and stuff like that, super, super saturated, right? So it's not going to take a whole lot for some of these trees to come down. I mean, they could come down with tropical storm force winds. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, to your point, is riverine basins are really super saturated. So again, it would not surprise me in the least if, again, with 45, 50, 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour winds, we don't have a whole lot of river debris, creek debris, what we call in our world wet debris. So yeah, those are all going to be issues. We're having all those conversations now. We're even trying to, just left a conversation about what can the state do to get some more water capability to where we can get in and try to get some of those areas open back up quickly after the fact. So yeah, having all those kind of conversations right now.
Yeah, well, you brought up one thing I learned going to the governor's hurricane conference, and a lot of our supporters, is this post-recovery process I've learned is huge. Like these base camps that are coming in, like Lodging Solutions guys are telling me they're coming in. It's such a huge process, debris removal. This doesn't just end overnight. And I guess the one thing I'm worried about is, the media kind of leaves an area, and what I'm trying to, tell our viewers in Florida is this is a long-term effect after the landfall, and it's just not going to be over tomorrow. I mean, there's going to be a lot of cleanup. There could be power outages for weeks. I think we're in this cry wolf syndrome a little bit, and I'm just hoping it turns out nothing. But I just think a lot of people are going to have maybe the worst storm of their lives, especially on the West Coast, because we've been missed so much.
Yeah, I agree with you again, Mike. But you're right. Recovery lasts years, and we got our last major hurricane, obviously Hurricane Michael. I'm going to put some stuff in perspective for you. I think the viewers will appreciate this. Hurricane Michael. We instituted some new policies in Hurricane Michael underneath Governor DeSantis' administration, and we were able to pay people faster, get money flowing, and all that. Hurricane Michael residents, 4 years after the fact, they're now getting themselves back up and running. They're opening back up for tourism, getting stuff back in there, getting restaurants rebuilt, getting housing rebuilt. And we're about 75% closed out on Hurricane Michael. We closed out Hurricane Andrew in 2017, 25 years later.
Wow.
So, yeah, recovery is a very long process, but we're getting better at it, putting a lot of focus on making sure that, just to your point, it's not just a response, which is 15, 30, 45 days. It's making sure we do the recovery well, which is obviously going to last years, but we want to it'd be nice to take decades off that time frame. So we're certainly working on that really hard here at the division, trying to make sure we're doing everything we can to help communities recover much faster.
Well, that sounds great. We'll link obviously all your stuff on our site. You mentioned some great links. I'll make sure I put them on the site so people, especially families. We have a lot of new people moving to Florida, right? And I'm sure the anxiety is a little higher than normal. So yeah, we're here to, with your help, get everybody through this. And like I say, the only good thing about a hurricane, right? We have days to plan. It's not like another natural, like a tornado or earthquake, or when you don't have any time. At least with a hurricane, right? You should be calm, and we have plenty of time to prepare, right? I mean,
we got plenty of time. We got, we'll start having to make some evacuation decisions probably midday tomorrow with some of our counties that have higher clearance times. But again, we've been working this thing for about 3-4 days now. To your point, we got time. We've been well informed. We've had plenty of time to plan, plenty of time to prepare. Right. We're getting to the point in the game now where we got to execute. So okay. It's about that time. But Mike, I hate to go, but
no, I appreciate it. No,
I do have to get to something else. But
yes.
Again, Mike Boylan, Mike's weather page, everybody. Mike's doing a great job out there with us, for us, with the division, giving us a single location to go. And I just want to make sure that all your viewers know how much we appreciate you, Mike.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Kevin. Thanks a lot. We'll, we'll get through this. We'll
Yes.
see. We'll see you on the other side of the storm.
Yes, we will.
All right.
Take care. Hope
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you,
All
buddy.
right.
Bye. All right. Well, there you go. How about that?